Hello, and welcome to Archvelder's Hacks with Archvelder and his amazing hacks. In this video, I'll be presenting 10 mysterious secrets of the world of Warcraft. This will not be like other videos you've seen. This isn't a cut and paste job. These are things I've either discovered myself in-game or learned from the underground community of Warcraft explorers and spent a considerable amount of time investigating personally. The first secret is in the Blood Elf starting zone. In the top of the highest tower in the area, there is a book named Saga of the Sindore. According to Leonim, the first person to discover the existence of this book, it cannot be reached by any normal means. The first person I know of to reach the book was the brilliant explorer Elian, who used a combination of wall jumping and the item Falling Flame. I'll link to Elian's video below. Now, Falling Flame has an extremely low drop rate, and I farmed it for months during Mr. Pardaria without success, so my guess is most people don't have it or will never acquire it. So I used a different method. As you can see, I'm using a Demon Hunter to scale these mountains. It is possible with other classes, but it is much easier using a Demon Hunter. Once at the highest point, you can use the item Fell Meteorite, and these can be farmed on the Broken Shore, but there's usually some on the auction house relatively cheap. You'll also need a Goblin Glider. You can do this with just the one meteorite, but it can't hurt to use two just to be on the safe side. If you overshoot a bit, it doesn't really matter, whereas if you undershoot, it's a real problem. And then once you're on top of the tower here, gently work your way down. And be very careful at this point. Once you're on this level, you'll be able to see the book on the floor. And it is written in the standard historical style of all the Warcraft books in the game, and details the background of the Blood Elves leading up to the events of the game itself. While you're up here, take a good look around. It is one of the most interesting viewpoints in the game. I'm not sure how much this comes across on YouTube, but it is quite a strange, immersive feeling being up here. There's another mystery here. Who is tending these gardens, and how are they getting up there? The second secret is an oddity I've never seen mentioned anywhere, yet it requires no special skills or items to access, unlike most of the secrets here. Go to Ironforge, and then head on to Dunmurra Southgate Pass. Simply run down the tunnel. You'll notice when you reach the brazier that the ground begins to shake, and weirdly, if you do this a few times, you'll notice that it's the brazier itself that seems to be coded to trigger the earthquake. This is also true of the other brazier in the tunnel, though it is triggered from players travelling in the opposite direction. What is causing this? It seems likely that it is road code from the pre-Cataclysm launch event. During the Cataclysm launch event, earthquakes were felt all over Azeroth. And what seems to have happened here is that when the Cataclysm was launched, the earthquakes were removed, but for some reason this tunnel retained the effect, leading to this tunnel forever recording the echoes of Deathwing's devastation. Experienced players will remember this farm in the Wetlands as a former secret, since it used to require wall walking to access back in vanilla. Nowadays you can just fly here, but one secret remains in the form of this tunnel, which is normally blocked off. However, we can easily get through it using a Dark Moon seesaw or a chair toy if you don't have that item. Having glitched through it, if you run to the other end of the tunnel, you can see why the tunnel is blocked off. it literally has no end, and you get this fantastic panorama of warped textures. If you fly up out of the tunnel, which I wouldn't because you'll disconnect repeatedly, you'll see this tunnel is just hanging in space on the inside of this mountain. It seems that there was originally a much larger network of tunnels stretching around Ironforge that never actually appeared in game, and perhaps these may be developed in the future. These visions of a strange underworld that you were never meant to see always fascinate me with their peculiar beauty and sense of potential and possibility, as if they were actually wormholes in time and space, which to some extent in Azeroth they are. In the Scarlet Monastery there are 2 instance portals, but 4 doors, 2 of which are normally inaccessible. Now there's an easy way to get past these doors if you were ever curious what lay behind them. Simply use Help Unstuck and make sure your Hearthstone is on cooldown or not in your inventory. Your spirit will res at the nearest graveyard, and you can then spirit walk back into the monastery and straight through the doors. You'll see there's an actual instance portal behind both doors, and it turns out that these are the portals that used to take you to the library and the army, additional wings of the Scarlet Monastery that were merged to reduce the original number of instances from 4 to 2. Can you access those old instances? No, sadly the files are no longer in the game. The portal will port you back a few yards in a never-ending loop, which I believe is the only time Blizzard have used this technique to repel curious players. That said, it is interesting the portals are still here, as if the developers left the option to reuse them in future expansions. Fungorr Cavern in Zangamarsh, Outlands, has a secret that few know. This zone contains, or contained, one of the most dangerous and mysterious creatures in the world of Warcraft. How could this be in a level 60 to 63 zone? Well, the interesting thing was that this creature doesn't seem to have been designed by Blizzard, or at least had become vastly more powerful than ever intended due to rogue code. The beast of Fungorr Cavern had 2 very unusual properties. It could not be seen, and it could not be targeted. It simply slowly killed any player it attacked. To this day, no one knows exactly what the beast was. And other than player characters who were killed by it, most did not know it existed at all. But exist it did. There were far too many independent reports on the official Blizzard forums to dismiss this as the product of a lucid imagination. Indeed, I did actually once see the beast for myself, or rather I didn't see it since it was invisible, but I saw its silent and deadly attack on an unsuspecting low-level player. This was sometime near the end of Warlords of Draenor. The most likely explanation is that the beast was a marsh drudger, common to the zone, that for some reason spawned under the terrain, making it both invisible and impossible to attack, but no one really knows. I was determined to track down the beast for this video, but I could not find any sign of it, and indeed, reports of the beast have stopped as mysteriously as they started. All the reports that exist end at the beginning of Legion, so it seemed whatever ghost in the machine that created the beast has been eliminated, for now. Gilneas, generally regarded as one of, if not the best zone in Warcraft, with its eerie ambience, elegant architecture and compelling lore. However, if you get outside the boundaries of Gilneas, there are many secrets waiting to be discovered. The explorer wizard Trocaire, back in 2012, pioneered a masterpiece of escapology to escape from Gilneas at level 1. I'll link to the original video below. Those methods have been much copied and reused by other YouTubers, often without accreditation. I'm using a slightly different method here because it's faster, involving the film meteorites I demonstrated earlier. You'll want to use Trocaire's method when the meteorites are fixed, or if you can't get them off the auction house. Now, I'm not going to show you how to escape from Gilneas. This video is about exploring it. To escape from the main part of Gilneas, run up to the headlands and go north until you come to the main gates. At that point, jump into the sea and swim left. There's an invisible wall immediately in front of you, but if you swim far enough to the left and then swim back to the right past the gate, you'll bypass it completely. Now, if you were trying to escape from Gilneas altogether, you'd follow the shoreline along. But we're going to do something else and explore the Gilneas version of Silverpine Forest. Now, if you walk over to the right, you'll come across this path and you'll see a weird chasm to your left. Follow the path along. If you follow the path along far enough, you'll eventually come to a strange area with floating chairs and fireplaces. The whole area is filled with interesting stuff that would make a fascinating video in its own right. Indeed, the explorer Dover did just that, and I'll link to his amazing video below. For the longest time, I believed this was a secret developer area. The actual explanation for the existence of this mysterious location is even more interesting. I accidentally came across the true explanation for the aforementioned floating chairs when screwing around under the terrain and accidentally killing my character. As my corpse was floating under the world, I managed to take this screenshot. You can clearly see a mysterious village a long way under the ground. I turned to the Encore.com exploration forum for an explanation as to what this mysterious village was. Explorer Madorisiath, whose channel I'll link to below, explained that this village is in fact Ambermill in the normal Azeroth. For some reason, in the Gilneas version of Silverpine Forest, Ambermill is a long way under the ground except for the chairs. The whole Silverpine Forest area in Gilneas is massive and stretches across several actual zones, most of which are completely redundant since players will never visit them. If you go to the very northernmost extremity of Silverpine Forest in Gilneas, you'll see these weird floating fish hanging suspended in mid-air. I've never seen these in any other exploration video of the area, so it's possible that they're a recent addition. To give you an idea of just how big the Gilneas starter zone truly is, you can actually travel to a version of the Alterac Valley portal. Earlier I told you about one of the most fearsome beasts in the game, in Fungorr Cavern, that mysteriously vanished after Warlords of Draenor. It might surprise you to discover that creatures of even greater lethality exist in Warcraft, who have the ability to transcend physical matter itself and have collectively killed more players than even the most powerful of raid bosses, here in the Shrine of Two Moons, the Horde capital in Pandaria. These monstrous beings attack from literally nowhere and prey on low-level alts. They are, of course, the trans-dimensional Northwind hawks. As you can see here at the back of the Shrine of Two Moons, the hawks can fly through solid objects such as walls and mountains, and having done so, they are often attracted to low-level alts, Horde players typically leaving the shrine unattended, usually killing them in a few hits due to the level differential. Once there, the hawks remain trapped in the shrine and murder any low-level toons left there subsequently. This is Lord Rhyolith. This towering fire elemental has many qualities, but he's not exactly light on his feet. But what if I told you Lord Rhyolith could fly? Yes, unbelievably, despite walking at what appears to be snail's pace, Lord Rhyolith exhibits some really strange behaviour on occasion. If you quest to the end of the Mount Hyjal chain, the penultimate quest deals with the final battle with the forces of Ragnaros and the druids of Hyjal. The fire elementals conjure the Lord Rhyolith in a climactic final battle. All seems lost until the druids summon the spirit of Malorn, the great stag, who alone has the power to force Lord Rhyolith to retreat. Or at least that's what's supposed to happen. What actually happens is this. Now, having quested through the whole Mount Hyjal zone, you'll get access to the Molten Front daily quest zone. Although incredibly active back in Cataclysm, this zone is fast becoming a secret of Warcraft all of its own, as few players have any reason to visit it anymore, though of course billions have passed through this zone in its day. Now, the Molten Front is unique in that it contains a replica of the Firelands on its right hand side. Now, this version of the Firelands was just for show, and used only for one bombing quest. You were never meant to be able to access this version of the Firelands. And indeed, it isn't very easy, because the Molten Front is a no-fly zone, and the Firelands is set at a significantly higher level than the Molten Front questing area. However, you can use the Fell Meteorites to access this strange version of the Firelands. You may have to use several of them. This version of the Firelands is as vast as the actual raid instance. All the mobs in this zone are neutral, though they can be attacked and will fight back if attacked. There are no raid bosses. It's a very strange feeling running around a familiar instance like this, with large numbers of mobs around and not aggroing anything. Now, the biggest secret in this zone is a special NPC raid group that seems to have been put in as some kind of Easter egg. It varies which version of the raid group you get. Many people have reported an NPC raid group that is composed of Horde players and contains, amongst other notable NPCs, the infamous Johnny Awesome. I never get that one. Regardless of which character I access the Firelands with, I always seem to get the Alliance raid group, which is named Rin's Raiders. Finally, there is a secret viewers of my PvP videos will know about, and someone was recently kind enough to solve for me. Here in the Mage Tower, in the Eye of the Storm battleground, there's a staircase leading upward. You have to exploit your way onto it, but if you can make your way up to the tower, and there you can see these mysterious vanishing bookcases. Alan Zarkovic kindly explained to me in the comments section of my channel that this mysterious effect is due to backface culling, a programming technique designed to minimize memory usage, and not some magical effect transplanted from another iteration of the tower, as I initially believed. So there's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, this is usually a point where I ask people to subscribe and or join my Patreon channel. And today I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ask you instead to look at some of the work of the explorers who helped inspire this video and a lot of my work over the years. They contribute content for absolutely nothing. They are highly skilled. They get very little recognition for their work, and they often get ripped off by much larger YouTubers. So check out their channels. Obviously, the main reason to check out their channels is really entertaining content, really fascinating stuff. So check out the links to some of the explorers I mentioned in this video in the description below. Thank you for watching. This has been Archfelder. Battlegrounds are just full of bots these days.